6 quick takes from the Iowa Freedom Summit. Des Moines conservative Iowans and likely Republican caucus-goers packed Hoyt Sherman Place in Des Moines for 9 hours of political speechifying on Saturday, hearing from more than 20 prominent Republicans, 8 or 9 of whom are considering a run for president. As the final Brooks Dunn song rang out over the hall, here's a quick survey of the biggest moments and lingering questions. Scott Walker is legit. For a guy who's only recently entered the 2016 conversation and hasn't spent a lot of time in Iowa, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker impressed on Saturday. Walker described his governance of traditionally Democratic Wisconsin as a model for Republicans nationally, and said he was proof that conservatism can be a general election winner. He was subtle but effective in outlining his Iowa ties. He lived in Plainfield for a few years as a child and promised to return many more times. The crowd ate it up. When he took the stage, someone shouted, "Run, Scott, run," and he left to a standing ovation. Everybody loves Ben Carson. The conservative neurosurgeon electrified the Iowa crowd, mixing moving personal anecdotes with sharp criticism of President Obama's policies and getting specific on illegal immigration and border security. He left the stage to a standing ovation, and when MC and U.S. Representative Steve King took the podium after him, he said only, "Wow. USA Today." GOP 2016 contenders vie for conservative support. Even international media mogul Rupert Murdoch weighed in, tweeting on Saturday afternoon, "Campaign 16 starting very early, but watch Ben Carson. Read his autobiography years ago. Principled brave achiever. Great American story. Chris Christie got real." New Jersey Governor Chris Christie wasted no time in his speech addressing the elephant in the room, his perceived moderation as the governor of an East Coast, Democratic state. "If I was too blunt, too direct, too loud, and too New Jersey for Iowa, then why do you people keep inviting me back?" he asked, getting cheers in return. "And even more importantly, if the values I'm fighting for every day in New Jersey and all across this country are not consistent with your values, then why would I keep coming back? I wouldn't. I do because our values are consistent and we're fighting together to make this a better country." Christie got a polite response, the best he could expect, seemed to be the general reaction on Twitter. His return trips over the coming months reveal whether his "I am one of you" argument is accepted. Trump says what conservatives are thinking. Businessman and reality TV star Donald Trump was easily the most brazen speaker to take the stage on Saturday, offering "Tell me how you really feel" takes on potential candidates Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush. "It can't be Mitt because Mitt ran and failed," Trump said of the 2012 GOP nominee. "And of Bush, a former Florida governor and brother and son of former presidents," he added, "the last thing we need is another Bush." Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers his speech Saturday. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers his speech Saturday, January 24, 2015, at the Iowa Freedom Summit in Des Moines. Photo, Michael Zamora/The Register. Full screen. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers his speech Saturday. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry rubs his hands together. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry pumps his fists as he. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers up his speech. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers up his speech. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry wraps up his speech Saturday. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry pumps his fist as he finishes. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry shakes audience members. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry holds up Congressman Steve Carley. Fiorina waves to the crowd Saturday, January 24. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivers his speech Saturday. Texas Senator Ted Cruz delivers his message Saturday. Texas Senator Ted Cruz speaks to the crowd Saturday, January. Texas Senator Ted Cruz delivers his message Saturday. Texas Senator Ted Cruz talks to the crowd Saturday, January. Texas Senator Ted Cruz addresses the crowd Saturday, January. Texas Senator Ted Cruz addresses the crowd Saturday, January. Texas Senator Ted Cruz waves to the crowd as he finishes. Texas Senator Ted Cruz waves to the crowd as he takes. Texas Senator Ted Cruz delivers his message Saturday, Audience members give Texas Senator Ted Cruz a standing. Senator Rick Santorum waves to the crowd. Saturday, January. Dave Bossier welcomes Senator Rick Santorum to the stage. Senator Rick Santorum takes the stage. Saturday, January 24. Senator Rick Santorum spells out his beliefs for Iowans. Senator Rick Santorum speaks. Saturday, January 24, 2015. Senator Rick Santorum acknowledges the crowd. Saturday, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie waits backstage as New Jersey Governor Chris Christie shakes hands with Congressman. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie waves to the crowd. Saturday, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie addresses the crowd. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie addresses the crowd. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie waves to the crowd. Saturday, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee gives the final. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee gives the final. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie addresses the crowd. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee gives the final. Texas Governor Rick Perry speaks during the Freedom Summit. Texas Governor Rick Perry gets fired up as he is introduced. Texas Governor Rick Perry gets fired up as he is introduced. Senator Ted Cruz speaks during the Freedom Summit on Saturday. Senator Ted Cruz speaks during the Freedom Summit on Saturday. Senator Ted Cruz speaks during the Freedom Summit on Saturday. Senator Ted Cruz speaks during the Freedom Summit on Saturday. Senator Ted Cruz speaks during the Freedom Summit on Saturday. Senator Rick Santorum is framed between members of the Senator Rick Santorum speaks during the Iowa Freedom Summit. Senator Rick Santorum speaks during the Iowa Freedom Summit. Donald Trump speaks at the Iowa Freedom Summit on January. Dr. Ben Carson speaks at the Iowa Freedom Summit on Wisconsin. Governor Scott Walker speaks at the Iowa Freedom. Donald Trump speaks at the Iowa Freedom Summit on January. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker waves at the crowd at the Donald Trump speaks to the media during the Iowa Freedom. Donald Trump speaks at the Iowa Freedom Summit on January. Senator Rick Santorum speaks during the Iowa Freedom Summit. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker speaks at the Iowa Freedom. Dr. Ben Carson is reflected in a teleprompter as he. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker points at the crowd at Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker speaks at the Iowa Freedom. Dr. Ben Carson is reflected in a teleprompter as he. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker speaks at the Iowa Freedom. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker speaks at the Iowa Freedom. Next slide. No other speaker came anywhere close to such harsh criticism of Romney and Bush, establishment wing candidates who declined to appear in Iowa on Saturday. But judging by the audience response, Trump's feelings were widely shared and heartily welcomed. Benghazi is quiet until it roars. The attack on a U.S. ambassador in Benghazi, Libya, has been a conservative touchstone for years, but came up relatively few times on Saturday. But when it did, the crowd responded. Businesswoman Carly Fiorina captured conservative passion on it best. USA Today. Sarah Palin hints at 2016 run for president. Unlike Hillary Clinton, I know what difference it makes that our American ambassador and 3 other brave Americans were killed in a deliberate terrorist attack on the anniversary of 9/11 in Libya, Fiorina said to rising applause. And apparently, unlike Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, I know our response must be more forceful than the arrest of a single individual 1 year later. What was with Santorum? Former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum may have had an unlucky draw on Saturday, speaking in the early afternoon shortly after box lunches were distributed. The conservative crowd seemed disengaged, not quite welcoming Santorum as the 2012 Iowa caucus winner that he is and following his remarks as if in a tryptophan daze from the free turkey sandwiches.